Welcome back to Spin It.
That's us.
That's us, the record ranking podcast for people who would rather be listening to music.
Also us.
But this isn't a normal record ranking episode. This is an episode, a mini episode, a Backtracks, if you will, where we decide whether I picked the correct album for our Creedence Clearwater Revival episode, or if I need to backtrack and apologize because I picked the wrong album. And maybe Willy and the Poor Boys would have earned a better score than Green River from Connor.
But you already knew all that because you clicked on this to play.
That's true, and it was in the description.
Unless you didn't read the description, which means shame on you.
I just described the description to you. That makes this a description of the description.
It's like people who don't read the foreword of the book. Gotta read the foreword.
It's part of the book, yeah. Well, in our episode about Green River, episode 164, pretty recent, according to when this comes out.
I mean, we try to record these as recently as possible.
Exactly. You did not, I say you did not like Green River, but you gave Green River a 9.
But to say what? I gave it a 9.
The reason I say that is because you put it at the bottom of your 9s.
So? 9's pretty hard to get into.
It's an elite group, that's true, but I don't know. So in the episode, I thought maybe Willy and the Poor Boys would have been a stronger pick. I wasn't so sure. And today, you know what? I re-listened to Willy and the Poor Boys to get ready for this.
Yeah.
And I'm standing by Green River. I think I was still right.
Okay.
It's a tough call. It's a close race. Because Green River and Willy and the Poor Boys both have some mega hits. But I think the difference between these albums really lies with what's between the mega hits. And for me, I think Green River has the edge there.
That's what we're here to find out.
I know. And actually, this is probably the most remarkably similar pair of albums we'll ever do in a Backtracks. Because, I mean, they were just so busy. Green River was the band's third album, right? Willy and the Poor Boys was Creedence's fourth album, and it came out on October 29th, 1969, literally 2 months after Green River. That one came out in early August. So these could practically be the same album. Like if you missed Green River coming out by 2 months and someone said, "Did you hear the new Creedence Clearwater Revival album?" You'd be like, "No." And you'd find 2 albums in that short little time.
Wow.
It's just that massive run of albums. 3 records in 1969. It's just so wild. And I also found a quote from Doug Clifford that I don't think made it into the episode, but he said regarding, their pace of releasing albums so fast, Clifford said, "Fogerty told us that if we were ever off the charts, then we would be forgotten. And to make it worse, it might sound funny, but we had double-sided hits. And that was kind of a curse, as we were burning through material twice as fast. If we'd spread it out, we would not have had to put out 3 albums in a year." Right? Fogerty's kind of in control of the band, cracking the whip. The rest of the band is like, we can slow down. Like, we're the biggest band in the country right now. We could take some time here. But Fogerty's perspective on that is quite different. He said, "Everyone advised me against putting out great B-sides. They'd tell me I was wasting potential hits. And I looked at them and said, baloney. Look at the Beatles. Look at Elvis. It's the quickest way to show them all that good music." So he was not planning on slowing down. And, I mean, that's a big part of the reason why Creedence burned out instead of faded away.
Yeah.
They just hit the wall with so many songs. The only single that got released from Willy and the Poor Boys, I mean, is a heck of a double A side. It was Down on the Corner and Fortunate Son on the other side. Like, that's a ridiculous single. Down on the Corner hit number 3 on the Hot 100. Fortunate Son made it to number 14. So many of the records we talk about, their singles have B-sides that you've maybe even still never heard of. They're just like fluff tracks and extra tracks, and Creedence says, no, we're not doing that. We're putting out our absolute best songs on the same 45. Willy and the Poor Boys was originally also supposed to be a concept album, which is cool.
Oh, that is cool.
It was going to be a concept where Creedence, kind of like Sgt. Pepper, they would take on the identity of a little southern jug band, Willy and the Poor Boys. They talk about that in the opening track, Down on the Corner, but that did not come to fruition. It was just the lyric in the song and the cover art that made the cut from their original concept. The other difference that I thought, too, is that Willy and the Poor Boys kind of ends up being a lot more overtly political than Green River. I mean, Green River had Commotion and Bad Moon Rising and a few other songs that were, like, socially relevant, but Willy and the Poor Boys kind of comes out swinging with Fortunate Son and Effigy and some really scathing, like, direct critiques about social justice and politics and all the stuff that's going on. Fortunate Son, it's all about draft dodging, the Vietnam War. Effigy, it's about Richard Nixon. Don't Look Now, Poor Boy Shuffle are kind of about the working class, the poor. And then the other songs on this album, as you might expect, are dips back into blues rock classics with a pair of songs from Huddy, Leadbelly, Leadbetter, Cotton Fields, and the Midnight Special. That's pretty much what makes up Willy and the Poor Boys. On the charts, it would do okay. It would crack the top 50 in 6 countries around the world. It hit number 1 in France and number 3 in the United States. And today, Willy and the Poor Boys is certified platinum. But the real question is, how's it compare to Green River?
That is the question.
So to compare the hits, I mean, that's a good place to start, right? Green River has Green River and Commotion, Bad Moon Rising, Lodi. I would call those like the 4 big ones. Willy and the Poor Boys gets Down on the Corner, gets Cotton Fields, gets Fortunate Son, gets the Midnight Special. That's like the 4v4.
Yeah, I think so. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and tell you the answer to the question you want to know.
Whoa.
And then we can spin this Backtracks discussing why.
Okay, we can hash it out.
Yep. I think for the first time ever, you picked wrong.
I thought you would say that. I knew it.
You need to backtrack.
I disagree.
Yeah, I know you do.
What's your rationale?
Yeah.
I mean, hits for hits. I agree with you. It's a tough comparison, and probably Willy and the Poor Boys has the edge.
But here's the thing. So, yeah, you said it's about the songs between the hits, right?
Yeah.
But I think you have to take into account that Willy and the Poor Boys hits are bigger hits than the hits on Green River, in my opinion. Like, if you were truly going hit for hit, some of the hits on Willy and the Poor Boys would account for multiple. Like, it would take 2 hits from Green River to take down the juggernaut of a Willy and the Poor Boys hit sometimes.
Yeah.
Right? And so if you were doing the back and forth. So I enlisted the help of the math department squirrels.
Oh.
And ran some numbers to back up my statements.
Okay.
If you took just the number of Spotify plays for Fortunate Son.
Okay, but that's like not fair.
No. It's on the album. What do you mean it's not fair?
It is, but that's like the most skewed example.
It's a big hit. This is math.
It's got 1 billion more streams than the second most streamed song.
I came with multiple bits of evidence. I'm just providing mathematical facts to support my claim that you can't just go hit for hit and look at the stuff in between and just eliminate all the hits. Because Fortunate Son is the biggest hit of them all, right? I mean, you take all the plays from Fortunate Son and start subtracting out the Spotify plays from every Green River song, you'd still have 62,599,447 plays remaining. And we haven't even hit any of the other tracks yet. And I hear what you're saying. That's just one song. It's not really fair to do it only that way. I'm saying it's not really fair to do it only your way and go hit for hit, just subtracting. They're somewhere in the middle. So I went to the second best song, Down on the Corner, 425 million plays, right?
Yeah.
You can subtract almost the entire Green River Spotify plays from every song before you hit the negatives on that one. You only get to keep like 3 songs.
Yeah.
So like these hits on Willy and the Poor Boys, I think are objectively, they're heavyweights. Like if you're saying the Green River hits are heavyweights, these are like super heavyweights. And so mathematically speaking, I don't think you can just say, oh, top song on Willy and the Poor Boys, take away top song on Green River. That's not fair.
Well, sure.
When comparing all this. And on average, I feel like you're seeing higher Spotify plays track for track as well. You're seeing higher numbers, I feel like, on Willy and the Poor Boys compared to Green River. And I think that's backing up my argument.
I think that's just because Fortunate Son brings a lot of people in the door.
Well, that's part of what makes up a good album.
That's a very clinical, singles-driven perspective. Because I think, that is true. I've never contested that Willy and the Poor Boys has some of the biggest singles. But I think Green River ends up being a more consistent album because there are a couple tracks on Willy and the Poor Boys that kind of lose me a little bit.
Which ones?
The Side of the Roads and the Poor Boy Shuffles and Don't Look Now, It Ain't You or Me. You know what I mean?
You don't like Side of the Road? No.
It's a dip in a way that Green River doesn't do.
That's where I was going next, right? I disagree. This was only Exhibit A, Your Honor.
Oh, no.
Exhibit A was the Spotify plays. Exhibit B is looking at the non-singles hits, right? I think my style of album selection is I want an album that I'm going to enjoy listening to over and over and over again.
Yeah.
That's typically been my ranking approach. Is how often am I going to come back to these songs? And I think I'm way more likely to come back to some of these Willy and the Poor Boys songs than I am to the Green River songs.
Reasonable.
Don't get me wrong. Green River has some great songs that did make it onto my playlist or are already there.
Mister, I knew the whole album going in.
Yeah.
I guess that's a question, too. Did you know everything on Willy and the Poor Boys beforehand?
Yeah.
Okay. No surprise. A little surprise, but really no surprise.
And I went looking at, that was going to be Exhibit C. We can jump right to Exhibit C. Exhibit C,
oh, no.
my Spotify Spotify playlist. For Green River, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 songs from Green River on my playlist.
Mm-hmm.
5 of them were already there. I added one after our episode.
Ooh, what one got added?
I added... Which one did I add? How can I pull... Which one of you weren't here?
You could sort by date.
Oh, that'll help.
That would do it.
Commotion actually wasn't on there.
Wow, come commotion.
Yeah. For Willy and the Poi...
Willy and the Poi Boys.
The Poi Boars.
Yes, Willy and the Poor Boys.
Yeah, Willy and the Poi Boy... Jeez.
Oh, no. And see, that's why I picked Green River. I knew. Exhibit A, Your Honor.
Willy and the Poor Boys, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of the 10 songs on my playlist.
And there's only 9 tracks on Green River, period.
Yeah.
What 2 got left off?
Which 2 aren't on? Side of the Road and Poor Boy Shovel.
The 2 that I said were dips.
Yeah, they're dips. But, I mean, Green River has its dips.
Maybe.
Looking at you, Broken Spoke Shuffle.
That's on the 40th anniversary edition CD bonus tracks. It doesn't count.
Yeah, well, okay. Looking at you, wrote a song for everyone.
That's a good one.
It's okay.
That's all about how he can't talk to his wife.
It's okay.
It's okay. You're right. It's we've talked about it in the whole episode. We don't need to get back into that.
Yeah. So yeah, that would be my first 3 exhibits.
Building a whole museum.
Whole case was kind of what I was going for.
Different kind of exhibit. I get it.
Okay. And I mean, I think there's some really interesting, so I'm much more of a singles listener, right? So
True that.
A lot of my score weight comes from just how good the individual songs are. But I don't want to discount the fact that there is some cool albumness to these songs.
That's true. I mean, they came out 2 months apart. It's the same album. It's like Green River again.
So, looking at one of the lesser songs of Willy and the Poor Boys, Poor Boy Shuffle. 1, I like that it's called Poor Boy Shuffle, and this is Willy and the Poor Boys.
True. This is their shuffle.
But secondly, this song, as this song starts to fade out, you start to hear the drums coming in for Feelin Blue. There's this seamless transition between Poor Boy Shuffle and Feelin Blue that's really satisfying.
That's true. It's interesting, too, that a lot of the songs on Willy and the Poor Boys are so much shorter.
Yeah, I think that helps, too.
I mean, there's exceptions, like Effigy, but...
Or Feelin Blue.
I mean, Fortunate Son, Don't Look Now, they are so short.
Yeah, I think that helps it a little bit as well.
It does, because it's so fast.
Yeah, I mean, we went through 9 tracks that took, the same amount of time as these 10 tracks, if not longer, right? So
I think it is longer.
These songs were on average shorter.
I think Fortunate Son is the song of 1969.
Oh, sure. I mean, it's a song that's still super popular to this day.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I think often maybe misused a little bit at times in media.
Yes. Yes, it is.
But nevertheless, it always is a hit when I see it pop up in something pop culture, even if it's misconstrued.
It gets the Born in the USA treatment.
Yeah.
We just like the sound of this one.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I was wrong this time.
You were wrong.
That's a first and a sad one.
You need to backtrack.
I think they just made such good music overall, and it made sense to me to go chronologically and start with Green River. I mean, it's missing the big hits, yeah, but I just felt like if we were going to start somewhere for Creedence, the story had to start there. And I'm glad we had the vehicle of a backtrack to hash out the rest of it.
I mean, I'm still sad that some of their other hits we still haven't had the chance to talk about.
I know. They couldn't all be on one album as much as John Fogerty would love for them to be.
Why couldn't they?
Gotta spread them out.
Ugh.
3 albums in 1 year is absurd. But it was just a hard call. I was really stuck between the 2 albums. I think either way I was going to be dissatisfied and a backtrack was going to have to happen. But I was wrong and I can own that. My question for you, I guess, is...
Go ahead.
Hypothetically, where in your 9s would Willy and the Poor Boys go? If not at the bottom. Unless it's also at the bottom, but just above Green River.
Well, I don't know. I don't say it would go above Green River.
Right. That's the whole point.
I don't want to give it an official place.
Okay.
You know? That's your punishment for being wrong.
It's that I don't,
you
get to know where the right album would have gone.
You know, it would have been higher. It would have had a better chance. If Green River hadn't scored a 9, I might have given you the number, but not the position. But since it scored a 9, that's kind of irrelevant.
Unless it's not a 10, is what you're saying.
It's not a 10.
Okay.
It's somewhere else in the 9s. But if you want to know where, invent a time machine and go back and pick it instead.
Well,
But to give you a little credit and kind of to further my own argument of not just relying on the big hits, I actually went and, because I was disappointed that Have You Ever Seen the Rain still wasn't getting talked about.
It's not here.
I went and listened to that album as well. And I can tell you, had you picked that album, Have You Ever Seen the Rain would not have been enough to overpower Green River.
No, that's good.
To give you a little credit, the bigger hit doesn't always save it.
No.
On Pendulum, you basically have You Ever Seen the Rain and Hey Tonight are really all you got going on there.
Yeah, and I've got a lot more Creedence to listen to. You know, I'm not done yet.
Have you not listened to Pendulum?
I haven't all the way through, no.
Oh, okay. I think it would rank below Green River and therefore also below Willy and the Poor Boys.
Well, that's a good pitch for it. I guess I'll have to check it out.
I'm just saying, Have You Ever Seen the Rain has even more plays than Fortunate Son. So, to further my math argument, I'm not just saying that Willy's better because Fortunate Son.
You've kept an open mind.
Yeah.
And then we've got Mardi Gras, the album that was so chaotic and incohesive that people panned it. It's quite a discography, and it's remarkable. Again, from 1968 to 1970, they put out 5 just chock-full records.
Yeah.
With hits on all of them.
Yep.
It's impressive, but yeah, I guess I'm backtracking this week for the first time. It's not a good feeling. I like it better when I pick right.
Well, if you always picked right, this would not need to exist as a piece of content.
That's a great point, but also I still like talking about Willy and the Poor Boys. There you have it. If you want more content about Creedence Clearwater Revival, make sure you go check out episode 164. It would have made way more sense for you to do that before this, but...
Yeah, if you didn't do that beforehand for some reason.
But hey, it's not too late.
And if you still want more Creedence Clearwater Revival content, well, you're going to have to reach out to us on social media and demand it, and maybe we'd do it.
That's true. I'll accept demands and bribes.
Yeah, I can be bribed.
We can be bought.
But where can you buy us? Where can you bribe us at, James? Where should they go to bribe us?
The Spin It Pod store. You can buy our merch. But you can really find us on Instagram at Spin It Pod Official, X at Spin It Pod, and on the web at www.spinitpod.com, which is where the store is.
Make sure you put 3 W's.
It's important. Boy, oh boy. That's going to do it for this Backtracks.
Boy, oh boy.
Stay tuned for another episode about another album this week. We will see you then. And until then,
Keep spinning.
If we keep taking bribes for Creedence episodes, we'll be Willy and the Rich Boys.
You're assuming anybody's willing to bribe us.
That's a good point. And also,
Or that they're good bribes.
I propose we accept the bribe and then don't do another Creedence episode until we want to.
Oh, wow. What if every bribe counts towards a total secret number of bribes required for us to do another CCR episode, but the audience doesn't know what that number is, so they just gotta keep bribing us until that number gets hit.
Secret crowdfund for another Creedence episode?
Yeah.
You know what? Why not? Well, there's a couple good reasons why not.
But other than those, why not?
Don't send us money. Don't bribe us. Disclaimer, that's all a joke. Don't do that.
Yeah, don't bribe us. Don't bribe people. You know what? You can quote us on that.
Don't bribe people. Our official stance on bribing, knock it off. There will be a bad moon rising if you keep it up.
Oh, very good.
Mary will be ashamed of you, not proud.